Hello and a warm welcome to TBC News. Our top stories. Government strategizes to finance 2023-2024 budget. Traffic police on guard for 24-hour bus operations. Good evening, I am Faith Ngaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. Also, get all the latest news via Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages at TBC Online. President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan has met and held talks with a special envoy of the President of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, at the State House in Dar es Salaam. The envoy was led by the Minister of Defense of Zimbabwe, who is also a freedom fighter and the national chairman of the ZANU-PF party, Opa Muchinguri. On the other hand, other ministers who attended the meeting were the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, Ambassador Baruch Nesor Baruch, and the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Fatma Mohamed Rajab. In other news, Minister of Finance Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba directs ministries, departments and government institutions responsible for government revenue collections to set strategic plans to facilitate internal revenue collections that suffice the monetary needs of the national budget. Here's Lua Mohammed with more details.
Dr. Nchemba made the directive in Dar es Salaam while leading a session to discuss the implementation of the government's internal revenue collection for the year 2023-2024, where the government expects to collect internal tax amounting to 26.72 trillion shillings in Tanzania mainland and 520.64 billion shillings on the side of Zanzibar.
Viongozi wetu, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania.
The President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, and the President of Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, have made a promise to the people, which depends on the revenue that will be collected. If the revenue fluctuates, then we'll have to suspend some of the projects. It should be remembered that the revenue is very critical to the government.
Elaborating on the implementation of the national budget in terms of the collection of local revenue through various sources, the Minister of State in the President's Office, Regional Administration and Local Government, Angela Kairuki, and the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Human Settlement Development, Lucy Kabimera, say that the implementation of the government's objectives.
We're still continuing with the efficiency that has been going on since the beginning of 2021-2022, and we have been able to collect 103% of the goal. Also, for the year 2022-2023, we have got an increase of 15%, and we were able to raise more than 132.3 billion Tanzanian shillings. Thus, for the year 2023-2024, we have set a target of 1.144 trillion, but we, through the Council, have pushed them to exceed that target. As a ministry, we will continue with our part of collecting through first-person registration, because in the beginning, when an individual is given ownership, the responsibility falls under the Ministry of Land. Therefore, registration and initial payments of taxes will be under the Ministry of Land, and after that, they will be handed over to TBCnews. Also, we continue with the collection of other taxes such as premium, stamp duty, and registration fees.
Traffic Police Commander Ramadhani Nganzi says the traffic police has further strengthened road traffic safety to prevent traffic accidents in all areas in the country for smooth implementation of the government's directive to lift ban on 24-hour bus operations. Commander Nganzi made the assurance when he met with journalists in Dar es Salaam, outlining the progress made on license inspection that was conducted across the country.
In implementing the government's directive, which permits 24-hour bus operations, traffic police in collaboration with other security agencies should ensure all passengers are secured. The instructions from our head office have started to be implemented, and I can assure that we are all well organized.
Speaking about the license inspection exercise, Commander Nganzi says the police force has already inspected 72,560 licenses for Class C and E, whereby 8,237 licenses have been suspended.
8,237 driving licenses have been revoked due to various shortfalls. And once we start again the operations, drivers who do not have necessary qualifications will be held accountable. I call upon and thank the drivers who have come out to verify their driving licenses voluntarily, and those who did not show up will be held responsible.
Nganzi adds that they have also inspected 297 driving schools, whereby they have closed 161 schools due to the lack of qualified instructors and teaching materials. Now let's have a look at other stories. The Tanzania National Defense College Commandant, Major General Ibrahimu Mhona, urges media editors to work by maximizing on diverse systems and considering professionalism, national security and unity. Here's a report by Henry Mabumo, read to you by Lulua Muhammad.
They are the graduates of the 15th course of news editors, receiving certificates after a 5-day training with the aim of creating better understanding between the security forces and the private institutions. Welcoming the official guest of honor, the head of the National Defense College, NDC, Major General Ibrahim Mhona, gives instructions to the editors.
Tukafanye kazi.
Let's work with various systems with high professionalism while putting the national interest first. We should criticize, advise, and praise wisely.
Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Information, Culture, Tourism and Youth, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Fatma Hamadi Rajab, directs the editors to prioritize the broad interests of the nation. The government of the United Republic of Tanzania wants to see news editors with a change of thinking and a strategic and long-term vision. So when you return to your offices, we expect to see editorial duties carried out with high professionalism in order to achieve the goals we hope for the country to have: peace, stability, and love. Some of the editors who have received the training say the training will play an important part in creating better understanding between the security sector institutions and the private institutions.
This training is to show us how the government and its agencies work. So if you understand it, it becomes easier to know. When I'm looking for information, what kind of people I can get it from.
Now let's have a look at the tourism sector, where the Chief Executive Officer of Kilimanjaro Airports Development Company, Christine Mwakatobe, says the number of passengers at the Kilimanjaro International Airport, located in the High District in the Kilimanjaro region, has almost doubled, together with the number of flights, indicating major growth in the tourism sector in the country. Here's a report by Sauda Shimbo, read to you by Apasia Ringo.
Here are among the visitors from various countries who have come to Tanzania to visit various tourist attractions in the country. Among them, there are 54 visitors from Greece. This is the first time for such a large group from their country to come to Tanzania.
In the coming days, it shows that the increase in tourists will stimulate the growth of the economy, as well as the increase of new airlines, which will stimulate the transportation of goods and open trade between countries.
The arrival of this large group of visitors creates an opportunity for others.
When such airlines come into the country, small charter planes that take tourists to various parks, hotels, and tour operators will all get business opportunities.
We receive about 50 to 55 visitors every month. And after COVID-19, we saw a huge improvement because many tourists wanted to come over here.
Some tourists talk about their visit to Tanzania.
10 days here in Tarangire, in Ngorongoro, and in Serengeti also.
I'm very excited, very much looking forward to my trip and my experience, and I've heard lots of very good things about Tanzania, so hopefully I'll live up to the expectation.
A resident of Meatu district, Lucas Pomani, has developed technology of a multi-purpose simple machine for irrigation and grain processing. As a report by Pascal Michael, read to you by Dulua Mohammed.
The 8th Nane Agriculture Fair in the Eastern Lake region, Nyakabindi Council in Bariadi, brings this young innovator. Why has motivated him to develop such technology?
The main function of this machine is to grind grain, but also for irrigation processes. The purpose of designing this is to solve various challenges which are experienced by farmers in their agricultural activities as well as irrigation processes. Through this initiative, it will help increase income, especially to the farmers.
What is the irrigation capacity of the machine?
The capacity of this machine is to water a range of 5 plots.
Aside from the breathtaking views of the two great mountains of Kilimanjaro and Meru, Endrimet Wildlife Management Area offers amazing places to visit in these infinite plains of black cotton soil and the bare rocky landscapes shrouded in a blanket of a herd ancient to volcanic lava. Margaret Getty has more.
Endrimet, being of the Kilimanjaro Amboseli ecosystem with a rich soil that supports life that's brimming with wildlife orchestra, these animals have no borders or boundaries. They move freely around the area, providing Endrimet with a chance for tourists to do certain activities, including game viewing. The million-dollar question is, in this arid area, where do we find water that supports this vast wildlife on their transit to their destination? A long drive around northeast of Endrimet, I found saltwater pools named Sinya. This is a home to many species of birds, including flamingos and many others. Wild animals frequently come to the pool to drink, and the Maasais use the pool to water the cattle. The senior pools have a very interesting origin that traces back in the 1930s, where meerschaum was mined in the area, but in 1980s, the mine was closed due to flooding and the senior pools were formed. Meerschaum is a mineral similar to clay, which is used in the making of inner bowl of the smoking pipe. It is therefore not common and has been extensively mined only in Tanzania and other parts of the world. On a bright day, the Ngasurai Plains that lies to the west of Kilimanjaro is a fantastic place that provides views to the majestic Kilimanjaro, Mount Meru, as well as Mount Longido.
Thank you, Margaret Getty, for that breathtaking feature story. Now, before we wind up our local news tonight, let us now have a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Time now for all the latest in international news. Here's international news compiled by Ramadhani Mpenda and read to you by Apasia Ringo.
Ethiopia's federal government on Friday declared a state of emergency following days of clashes in the Amhara region between the military and local armed fighters. The Ethiopian Prime Minister's office announced the decision on Friday after the region's leaders said regular law enforcement was no longer able to contain the violence. Ethiopia's second most populous region has been gripped by instability since April, when federal authorities moved to disarm Amhara's security forces following the end of the devastating two-year war in the neighboring Tigray region. The state of emergency allows, among other things, for roadblocks to be established, transport services to be disrupted, curfews to be imposed, and for the military to take over in certain areas. Niger's ousted President Mohamed Bazoum has called on the international community to return his government to power, warning of disturbing consequences for the world if the coup against him succeeds. Bazoum, who was deposed last week by the military, said the United States and the rest of the international community must help his country restore Niger's constitutional order. In the column published on social media, Bazoum said the coup launched against his government by a faction in the military on July 26th has no justification at all. Meanwhile, thousands of people rallied in Niger's capital, Niamey, in support of the coup that toppled the democratically elected government as security concerns mounted among Western nations. And the former U.S. President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty in a Washington, D.C. court conspiring to overturn his 2020 election defeat. During a short arraignment, Trump spoke softly to confirm his not guilty plea, name and age, and that he was not under the influence of any substances.
This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America.
The accusation came just 2 days after U.S. prosecutors filed 4 federal charges against Trump, accusing the Republican politician of seeking to overturn the results of the 2020 election that he lost to his Democratic rival, Joe Biden. Also, prosecutors highlighted Trump's involvement in the events leading up to the U.S. Capitol attack on January 6, 2021, when a mob of his supporters overran the building to prevent Congress from certifying Biden's election win.
That was international news. Sports news up next. In sports news, Tanzania under-18 women national team has won the CECAFA under-18 women championship after beating Uganda under-18 women national team by a 1-0 in an entertaining and competitive match played at Azam Complex Stadium earlier today. Tanzania under-18 women national team has also set a record by not conceding a single goal and not losing any game throughout the tournament. The winning goal that gave Tanzania under-18 women national team the much-needed victory was scored by Winifrida Gerald at the 42nd minute. The sports news, the Executive Secretary of the National Sports Council of Tanzania, Neema Msita, urges sports associations in the country to organize competitions before December as a condition to renew their registration. Msita adds that the approval for the new registration of any sports association will be measured by the number of sports competitions organized by the association in order to promote sports in the country.
Don't do the competitions. We measure them as if they are dormant. And when you are dormant, you cannot complain to participate in international tournaments, because where do you get the team? For you to get the team, you need to do the competition. And when you do the competition, it's easy for the people to participate in sports in local levels, because they know in the end we're supposed to participate in national level. So we call upon the associations to be very serious with to accomplish the things that they set to do in their calendars, including the annual general meetings, the technical meetings, subcommittees meetings, and most of all, competitions.
More than 10 sports associations have already organized competitions in accordance with the procedures and calendar of the country's sports council for the year that ends in December 2023. In other news, the chairman of Tanzania Cycling Association, Jackson Muhagamu, says the Tanzania Cycling Women's National Team stands a great chance to do well in the African Cycling Championship due to the quality of the players of the team. Chairman Muhagamu believes that higher performance shown by women during the National Cycling Championship has given them experience that will help them to do well in African Cycling Championship.
The competition will be held in October. We have already written a letter to tell them that Tanzania will participate in the competition. Also, we have started to prepare the team ready for African Championship. The team will camp for training before the competition in 3 phases.
The national women's cycling team expects to enter the camp this month, ready for the African competition expected to be held in Burundi. And that's it for sports news. Now, before we conclude the news bulletin, let us take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Hello viewers, welcome for the next 24 hours weather forecast from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. My name is Teleza Ngasa. By starting with the wind flow pattern, TMA is issuing an advisory of period of strong winds which are expected to reach 40 km per hour over some areas of the Lake Victoria Basin and some areas of Lake Tanganyika. Also, TMA is issuing an advisory of large waves which are expected to reach 2 meters over some areas of the entire coastal belt of Indian Ocean. Therefore, precautive measures are advised to be taken. And for tonight, we expect the lowest minimum temperature to be 9 degrees Celsius over Njombe, Mbeya and Rukwa region. Also, we expect that for tonight, areas of Tanga, Pemba and Unguja, ISOs are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, light rain showers over few areas. The remaining part of the country for tonight is expected to feature partly cloudy condition. For tomorrow, it is our expectation that areas of Arusha, Kilimanjaro, Tanga, Pemba and Unguja, ISOs, Dar es Salaam and Pwani and northern Morogoro are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, rain showers over few areas. Over southern coast, Luvuma region and southern Morogoro, we expect to have partly cloudy condition, light rain showers over few areas. The remaining part of the country is expected to feature partly cloudy condition. And now let's take a look on the 4 days weather forecast. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
And on that note, we are ending our news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. I am Faida Ngaga. Good night.